The Japan national rugby union team represent Japan in international rugby union competitions. Japan is traditionally the strongest rugby union power in Asia but has both enjoyed and endured mixed results against non-Asian teams over the years. Rugby union in Japan is administered by the Japan Rugby Football Union, which was founded in 1926. They compete annually in the Pacific Nations Cup and the Asian Five Nations. They have also participated in every Rugby World Cup since the tournament began in 1987. Rugby was introduced to Japan in 1899 and Japan's first international was a match against a Canadian team in 1932. Notable games for Japan include a victory over the Junior All Blacks in 1968, and a narrow 6-3 loss to England in 1971. Famous wins by Japan include a 28-24 victory over Scotland 15 in 1989 and a 23-8 victory over Wales in 2013. In the 2007 Rugby World Cup, Japan drew 12-12 against Canada. In 2011, Japan displayed its progress by winning the 2011 IRB Pacific Nations Cup, played against Fiji, Samoa and Tonga. Further progress was displayed in 2014 when Japan completed a string of 10 consecutive test wins to rank in the world's top 10 teams. This continued into 2015 where they produced arguably the biggest upset in rugby history in a Rugby World Cup pool match against the Springboks, winning 34-32. History. The first recorded instance of rugby being played in Japan was in 1874, when British sailors staged a game in Yokohama. The sport was introduced to students at Keio University in 1899 by Professor Edward Bramwell Clark and Tanaka Jinosuke. Japan's first international match took place on January 31, 1932 when a trade delegation from Canada brought the Canada National Rugby Union team, who were also playing their first game. The Japanese won 9-8. Japan beat the Junior All Blacks 23-19 in 1968 after losing the first 4 matches on a tour of New Zealand, but they won the last 5. The Japanese lost by just 3-6 to England in Tokyo on September 29, 1971 in the IRFU's centenary year. The 1973 Japan Rugby Union Tour of Wales, England and France was less successful with the side winning only 2 of their 11 matches, and losing the international matches against Wales and France. 10 years later Japan gave Wales a fright in losing by a slim 5-point margin, 24-29, at Cardiff Arms Park on October 2, 1983. On May 28, 1989, a strong Japan coached by Hiroaki Shukuisawa defeated an uncapped Scotland, missing 9 British Lions on tour in Australia, for the first time at Kaichibu no Miya Rugby Stadium, 28-24. The Japan team included such Kobe steel stalwarts as center Seiji Hirai, and locks Atsushi Oyagi and Toshiyuki Hayashi. Sonali Lachu at number 8 was then a 4th-year student at Doito Bunker University, and Speedy Yoshihito Yoshida on the wing was a 3rd year at Meiji University. Scotland missed an incredible 7 penalties and refused the kicking tee which was generously offered €1 as a surviving video of the game shows. It was almost the same Japanese team which defeated Zimbabwe in RWC 1991. Under Shogo Mikai. After Hirai resigned, Toshiba Brave Lupus coach Shogo Mikai was appointed in March 2001 to lead Japan up to the 2003 Rugby World Cup. After mixed fortunes in his first 2 years in charge, Japan put in some impressive performances at the tournament with good efforts against Scotland and France. Nevertheless they still left the tournament having failed to reach their target of winning some matches but still won admirers for their exciting brand of play. Mikai left his post after the tournament to spend more time with his family. Under Mitsute Kagimoto. After Shogo Mikai left after the 2003 Rugby World Cup, the JRFU initially tried to appoint Eddie Jones from his post with Australia but were unsuccessful and instead appointed Mitsute Kagimoto in March 2004 after he won the inaugural top league with the Kobelco Steelers. Under Hagimoto, Japan decided they would not select foreign-born players after Mikai had been criticized for playing too many at the World Cup. Hagimoto's first match in charge was a disappointing draw with Korea, but his first few matches in charge after that were promising, with wins over Russia and Canada to win the Superpowers Cup and pushed Italy close, losing 32-19. However, in November 2004, Japan went on a disastrous tour to Europe where they were embarrassingly thrashed 100-8 by Scotland and 98-0 by Wales, and also were comfortably defeated by Romania. Japan's performances were described as pathetic, and the squad was called a joke, with some key players ignored or not given permission to travel. This disastrous tour forced a rethink from Hajimoto, and foreign-born players were brought back into the side in 2005, but after losing twice to Ireland in June he was sacked, and with just 5 wins from 15 matches was the least successful coach for Japan in the professional era. Under Jean-Pierre Permel-Lisolda. After Hajimoto left his post at the end of June 2005, Jean-Pierre Permel-Lisolda, who had been appointed backs coach 3 months earlier, took full charge and became the first foreigner to be the head coach for Japan. His first match in charge was a 44-29 win over Spain in November 2005. In 2006, despite a disappointing campaign in the inaugural Pacific Nations Cup in June where Japan lost all their matches, and also lost heavily to Italy 52-6, Permel-Lisolda was back to lead the side to the 2007 Rugby World Cup. But Permel-Lisolda was later sacked in September after he took on a job with Bayonne without consulting the JRFU and then refused to give up his job with them. Assistant coach Osamu Ota took over as caretaker coach for 2 Rugby World Cup qualifiers in November 2006. Under John Kirwan. John Kirwan was appointed head coach in October 2006 after Lisolda was sacked. He initially worked as an advisor to caretaker coach Osamu Ota before taking over the job completely in 2007. After starting with large wins over the Asian opposition, Japan only won one of their remaining 10 fixtures in 2007, although in the 2007 Rugby World Cup they did gain a draw with a last-minute touchline conversion from Shotaro Onishi against Canada to end a long losing streak of World Cup matches stretching back to 1991. Results began to pick up after the 2007 World Cup, and Kirwan led Japan up to a high of 13th in the IRB rankings and to win their first ever Pacific Nations Cup title in 2011 after they beat Fiji away for the first ever time in Japan's history. However, despite more positive results in between World Cups, Japan had a disappointing 2011 Rugby World Cup, losing 31-18 to Tonga, who they had beaten 4 consecutive times in a row since 2008. And drawing again to Canada, who they had beaten 46-8 and 27-6 in 2009, and Japan left the World Cup winless, meaning they still hadn't won a match at the tournament since 1991. Kirwan came under pressure after the tournament and he resigned from his post after his contract came to the end at the end of the year. The tenure of Kirwan as coach was notable for a large amount of imports he selected. Players who originated from New Zealand such as James Arledge, Bryce Robbins, Sean Webb, Ryan Nicholas, Luke Thompson, or Tonga such as Elisi Tupuelu and Sinva Tuvai all featured prominently under Kirwan. The large percentage of foreigners in the national team also caused criticism for Kirwan. However, despite failing to bring Japan a World Cup win, Kirwan left his post as the most successful Japan coach of the professional era with a win rate of 58.18% from 55 matches. Under Eddie Jones. Kirwan chose not to renew his contract as head coach when it expired at the end of 2011, and the Japan Rugby Football Union announced that former Australia coach, Eddie Jones, would be his successor. Jones stated that his intention was to take the Japanese national team into the top 10 on the international rankings, and that they must develop a style of play to allow them to win games against teams such as Scotland and Wales. Jones made his debut as Japan head coach against Kazakhstan. He had selected a total of 10 uncapped players out of the 22 selected players. They went on to win the match 87-0. They then had a big win over United Arab Emirates where young 18-year-old Yoshikazu Fujita set a new Asian Five Nations record for the most tries in a single match with a total of 6. This was also Fujita's international debut. In 2013, Jones led Japan to their 6th consecutive championship win in the Asian Five Nations, where Japan achieved a tournament record score of 121-0 against the Philippines. In May, the nation lost their opening match of the 2013 IRB Pacific Nations Cup to Tonga, followed by a defeat to Fiji in the second round. Following these matches, Japan faced a two-test series against Wales. Japan lost narrowly, 18-22, in the first test, but won the second test 23-8, and the series ended in a 1-1 draw. This was the first time that Japan had recorded a victory over the Welsh. On October 16, 2013, Jones was hospitalized after having a suspected stroke and was released from hospital 2 days later on October 18, 2013. With the announcement of his release from hospital, it was announced that Jones would miss Japan's 2013 end-of-year rugby union tests against New Zealand, Scotland, Gloucester, Russia and Spain, and former Australia skills coach and current technical advisor for Japan Scott Wisemantel would interim coach Japan for their 2013 end-of-year rugby union tests. On September 19, 2015, Japan stunned South Africa 34-32 in their opening group pool game at the Rugby World Cup in Brighton, England. BBC reported the win as arguably the biggest upset in rugby union history. In 2015, Japan became the first team in World Cup history to win 3 pool games but still be eliminated at the group stage, due to their heavy loss to Scotland. Tournament history Rugby World Cup Japan has participated in the Rugby World Cup since its inception in 1987, and has made appearances in all tournaments thus far. Despite this, they have experienced little success, with just 1 victory over Zimbabwe in 1991, and 2 draws with Canada in 2007 and 2011. In 2015 they defeated South Africa with a score of 34-32, their first win since 1991 against Zimbabwe. They will be the home team for the 2019 Rugby World Cup, which is to be held in Japan. Asian Rugby Championship Overall, the lowest table of the representative rugby matches played by a Japan national 15 to October 11, 2015. Tour Wins against Tier 1 nations Current squad On August 31, Japan announced their 31-man squad for the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Head coach, Eddie Jones, caps updated, October 11, 2015. Notable former players, Toshiyuki Hayashi, legendary lock with Kobe Steel, Oxford and Japan. Seiji Hirai, center, former Japan captain and coach of Japan. Keiji Hirose, top scorer for Japan ever. Kensuke Iwabuchi, the first Japanese to play professional rugby in England, also technical advisor to Sanix. Toru Kirihara, top scorer in one match worldwide, 60 points scored individually. Sonali Lachuwa now coach of Doito Bunker University RFC. Yuji Matsuo, fly half, Shin Natetsu Kameshi. Andrew Miller, fly half for Kobe Steel and Japan. Takura Muchi, number 8 and former captain at 2007 RWC. Wataru Murata, player of Yamaha Jubilo. Daisuke Owata, world record test try scorer. Atsushi Oyagi, lock, Kobe Steel and Japan, now a TV personality. Kenzo Suzuki, better known as a professional wrestler, Suzuki was capped for the national team as well. Yoshihito Yoshida, world-class Japan wing, known especially on the Sevens circuit. Coaches. Individual all-time records. Most matches last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Most tries last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Most points last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Most points in a match last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Equals most tries in a match equals, last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Equals most matches as captain equals, last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Equals youngest players equals, last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. Equals oldest players equals, last updated, Japan vs USA, October 11, 2015. Statistics include officially capped matches only. See also, Rugby Union in Japan. References. External links, Japan RFU English pages, Japan Times articles by Rich Freeman, a Japan Times rugby correspondent until 2005, then at the Daily Yomiuri, 41st University Rugby Championship, Japan RFU a Euro and Japanese Rugby Union news from Planet Rugby.